Hello, Elizabeth Scott.
Oh, hello, Liz Lovius.
We're going to switch our monikers. I love it. We can change our minds. We were just chatting about how we're doing and what's been going on, and it just came up between us, this idea of productivity and success and uh, how we respond to that. And we just thought this would be a really interesting line of inquiry for us to explore more deeply. And the question you posed is, how do you know if you're successful if you're no longer evaluating yourself through solely your achievements and your productivity?
Mm,
I think that's a really fantastic question.
yeah, yeah,
So,
me too.
do you want to start us off? And then I've got some things.
Well, yeah, just a couple of things. Just talking about measurement. So, and how we measure ourselves. And
Mm.
you get these things like Fitbits. I don't know if you've got
Mhm.
one. I used to have one and it broke. And my friend stayed with me and she came into the kitchen in the morning for breakfast. And I said, "Oh, how did you sleep?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I just need to go and check my Fitbit."
Yeah.
And I was really tickled by this
Yeah.
because there is this sense that, and I fall into it too, like when I go walking, I like to know how many steps I've done and how many miles I've done. And it's not a criticism at all. It's just, it tickled me because I thought, oh, she doesn't have an intuitive feeling of how she slept. She just needs to check whether how she thinks she slept matches with her Fitbit.
Mm.
And this sort of fits in, I think, a little bit with our conversation today, which is it's easy to find measurement when you're in the world of business, which is around how successful you are, and that has a monetary value, and whether your business is growing, and all of these things that you can look at on a chart and see if they're going up or down. And I guess as an older woman, I no longer feel driven by those measurements. They just don't make sense to me anymore. They were fun for a while. And now I feel there's something more intuitive, more wise, something else that wants to come through. And yet I don't know how you measure it, like other than me feeling good. But how do you measure that in the world? So I'm going to just kick off there because it just
Mm.
it for me it's around this sense of it's we're not used in our culture to see whether something's successful if you can't measure it.
Mm.
But where are you with it, Elizabeth?
Yeah. I love that. My little shorthand is, can I put it in a wheelbarrow? And because that's what we like, don't we? We like to put it in a wheelbarrow, measure it and weigh it and see. And I think um, we tend to evaluate ourselves on how much we produce, and then we measure that. And that is a great game to play. We're not dissing that in any way whatsoever. But it's only half the picture. This is how I see it. So I would call that the world of form. What can be measured in the world of form through our five senses and our detectable ways of measuring? Science uses it all the time. So there's nothing wrong with evaluating and measuring in that world, but it's not the only source of information. And it's definitely not the only place to look for this sense of success. My words for that is fulfillment, contentment. Um, yes, a sense of achievement and progress, but it's got a satisfying feeling, that quality of feeling. So we can look at our numbers for that and we can orient ourselves towards productivity. But actually, what we're looking for, I think, is exists more in what I'm going to call the formless realm, or that which is a felt sense or a knowing. And we talked about that quite a bit when we talked about wisdom. And this makes me really, I just share a little thing that I've seen about myself is that I am a productivity queen. Like you know this because of what I do behind the scenes, right? You're like, how did she do that like so quickly? And it's just how I am as a character in this body is I look to see how can I get this done most efficiently and productively. I had a whole job doing that for 10 years in IBM. How can I make the boat go faster? So I was very oriented as a character as a in my work and paid to make things more efficient and more effective. So, and that's what I did, and I became very good at it. What I see now as an older woman is I still have my goals and the things I want to achieve, but I measure something else. And because I have this little productivity brain, I'm looking, how well am I rested? How much am I present for my life? How much in enjoyment am I? And really, the three connections. How connected am I to myself? How connected am I to others? And how connected am I to something greater? And these are all ephemeral. They don't fit in a wheelbarrow, but somehow they tell me more about being successful on the inside than any measure ever can. What do you make of
Mm.
that, Liv?
Yeah, I love those three areas around connection. That makes such a lot of sense to me. I've recently been on a 10-day hike. I love my walking.
I do.
Yeah, and I've just finished it this week with a friend and my sister. And I really got a sense. My friend would be termed very successful in the world of financial understanding and success. That's her world. That's her makeup. And I noticed at the end of well, my sister and I are more intuitive, more connected to ourselves and to the landscape. And I just noticed that she began to realize more and more that my sister and I just noticed things along our journey. So we weren't focused on getting to the end of the day's walking as quickly as possible. We were like, oh, let's just stop and sit on this bench and look at the river or look at these bluebells coming up. And sometimes we might even go backwards slightly to take a photograph. I remember on one wall we had this on a Devon wall, it was just covered in a thick yellowy green moss, and
Mm,
it would been raining that day, so it was damp. And I just couldn't stop looking at it. It looked like a thick carpet.
mm,
And so for me, that's like the connection with myself, with the landscape. It's with my thinking settling. It's like being present. And I was so clear that it really didn't matter if we didn't complete this walk. It didn't matter if we needed to stop on a day because it was raining or we were too tired. It wasn't a mission to complete. And I
mm,
noticed that there was a little bit of, I say a mismatch, but certainly my friend saw it much more as she had all the kit, all the gear, and she wanted to walk. So yes, I love that place that you have described there about connection. And as my mind settles, I feel that connection with my wisdom.
mm.
And that is a connection with the wisdom of others. It's a connection with my landscape. And you can't put that in a wheelbarrow. How do you measure that?
Yeah.
But I can feel it and I know it's nourishing. It
Mm,
absolutely seeps into every the core and essence of my body. So
mm,
that for me is a knowing, but it's not measurable. And how do you describe that to someone who doesn't really understand it? It's
mm,
people go, how fast did you walk? How far did you walk? What was your
mm,
favorite part of the walk? What was the hardest part of the walk? And it's
mm,
like, those aren't questions I really want to explore.
mm,
I want to share my delight, my gratitude, my contentment, my peace, the
mm,
challenges I had, the sense of the sacred. That's what I
mm,
really feel now when I'm out in the world. And
mm,
it's that connection, as you say, that feels really important. I don't
mm,
know if that kind of links up with where you're at as well.
mm, mm. Yeah, I was on the beach yesterday and I was really at home and at ease. And I could hear, I could hear the sea. I could smell it. I could feel the sun on my back. I could feel gratitude for the earth holding me. And what came unbidden in my heart was a prayer to invite the water to heal. I felt like out of all the elements, the heart was needing something. And I invited the water to just take away whatever was in the way of my heart being open. And that for me, those moments, I measured those. I pay attention to when do I have those moments. And they remind me that I'm already okay and I have everything I need. And that is how, as an older woman, I now evaluate. I have my goals. They get me on the journey. Like you need the head to go, hey, let's do that walk, right? And the head gets organized. Is what do I need for the walk and who's coming and how long is it? And you have your goal, you have your mission. You do. But really the mission is what gets you out on the journey. The real mission is how can you be there for your life on the journey? That's famous expression. The journey is more important than the destination. And I think that's kind of what we're saying
Mm.
is that there's something else to pay attention to evaluate, to measure, that is to do with your experience moment by moment versus what you are achieving and making happen. That's a great goal, but pretty soon the next goal arises. So you can go goal to goal, but if your only valuation of how you're doing is how many goals you're achieving, you're missing the bluebells.
You're very apt at this time of year.
Yeah, it's bluebell time right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the more I am present to my life,
Mm,
the more I am delighted at what I see
mm,
each and every day.
mm,
And the walk itself, the more I delight in reflecting back on the walk, it's not like it's done, I've shut the box on it and I get onto my next thing in life. It's like, no, I can keep, it's like one of those beautiful memory boxes that you maybe put little things in from
mm,
your life, and then you open it up and you just cherish those wonderful feelings again that you
mm,
recall, for, in this instance, for being on the walk.
mm,
People often say, "Oh, which walk are you going to do next?" And I'm like,
mm,
"Oh no, I haven't finished this one yet. I'm still in
mm,
that space of it."
mm,
And I find huge contentment in my world and in my life, which I guess I don't know if you find this. I find it quite hard to articulate. I can
mhm,
speak to you about it because I know that you understand
mm,
and see something yourself, and we're kind of sharing our experiences that have a commonality.
mm,
And yet I find it hard to speak to others who don't don't see that.
mm,
They don't quite understand. They're still looking for how in the context of the walk, for example, how far, how fast, how
mm,
long did it take? What was the highest point? What was the, it's what was the
mm,
lowest point? So yeah, I guess for me that's the I guess talking to you, what I'm really hoping is that there are women out there that kind of go, yes, that's me. I feel that too.
mm,
And maybe if you're listening to this as a woman that goes, yes, that's me, I just want you to know you're not alone. Like
mm,
there are more of us out there that are looking for something else,
mm,
are thinking into this sense of wisdom, of connection, of beingness.
mm,
And there is something super peaceful about being in the world, grounded in the world,
mm,
in this kind of space.
mm. I'm just going to finish this up with a thought that you've inspired me with here, which is maybe instead of what we can put in a wheelbarrow, we measure those little moments of delight that come to us when we're present. when we're fully embracing and accepting what is in the here and now and seeing it all, those are the moments that we can pay more attention. And if we need to measure something, maybe measure that.
No, I love that. Measure those moments, measure that sense of presence and being in the world. What a wonderful thought to finish on.
Thank you, Liz.